Kevin Garnett, welcome to the Daily Social Distancing Show.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Trev. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's too dope to have you here. First things first, like why is it so dark? What's going on over there?
You know what? We're not in the studio. I like indirect lighting myself. I don't like direct lighting. I don't like a bunch of light hitting me. I was trying to tell the producers I got a high level of melanin, so y'all just gonna have to deal with some of this darkness today. I'm bringing some balance to the whole Trevor show today.
All right. I feel it. I feel it. We got an ebb and flow going here. Okay, I like that. Well, welcome to the show. Either way, I can see you. I can feel your presence. And before we get into the book, let me say first of all, congratulations on making it into the NBA Hall of Fame. And man, you did it in style as well because you're a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's pretty amazing. How does it feel?
It feels amazing, man. As you would know, putting all your time and effort into a craft and believing in yourself and wanting to, grow a passion that's within you is not ideal in a in a black home. Thinking big, dreaming big, all of those things go into having a vast imagination and chasing a dream. Only to find yourself in your dream and now you're in it. Now what do you do? So to be able to reach heights, reach dreams, I couldn't. Listen, I couldn't have wrote this. I couldn't have came up with this in my wildest imagination.
Your induction into the Hall of Fame comes with a bittersweet story to it, because you were inducted along your peer and your friend Kobe Bryant. Now he was a fellow giant in the sport, and one thing I've really always wondered about is how you could be friends with somebody when you guys wanted to kill each other on the court, because you would watch the games, when it was Celtics, Lakers, it's just like, I want to kill you. And it's like you guys are friends off the court. Did that ever spill over? Were you ever too friendly on the court or ever too aggressive in life?
No, I think Kobe and I had a great balance of respect for each other. I think when you hit the floor as gladiators, you have a respect, but it's within the lines, but it's free game. It's all about advantage. And you're trying to look for the advantage every minute, every second of the game. And when you come off the court, it's a lot less intense, it's a lot more intimate. The conversations are obviously long running and they're in depth. But when you're between the lines, there are no rules, only respect. And if you don't have respect, then it goes another way. But I think Kobe and I had a great understanding of each other. I met him when he was very young. We started off, when we were very young, great
Right.
relationship, and we kept that throughout our whole times in the league. So it's only right that we go in the hall together.
Yeah, man. It's been an amazing journey that you've been on. And I feel like you're one of those people where every time I learn more about you, I like you more. Obviously I loved you as a basketball player because I was like, KG is killing the game. And then in Uncut Gems, I was like, man, this is a new side of KG I never thought I would see. But now we get to live your life with you because you've released a memoir that's coming out this week, KG A to Z. It's an uncensored encyclopedia of life, basketball, and everything in between. And you've literally written it like an encyclopedia. The book goes A, B, C, D, all the way
All right.
to Z. Talk me through why KG decided to write a book like that. Because, I mean, that's not how everyone writes a memoir.
I'm not a memoir guy. I'm more of a mathematician. I'm more science. I'm more into history. I'm more into world geography. I'm not when I read a bunch of papers, I skim through. I'm not always saying the V, the A, and, I'm a skimmer,
Right.
And I wanted the book to be able to be followed very easily. I sometimes when I read stuff, I get lost in how the format, the paragraphs are really in depth. So I want to be able to write something that was easy to follow and something that you can enjoy.
It is enjoyable, man, because you have lived a life. Everything in your book gives us insights into something. If people love KG on the court, there's parts about KG on the court. There's parts about like just where you learn things about who you are as a person. Like you for instance, you have you're a very serious player, but you love messing with people. One of my favorite things you did, and I never used to understand this because you must remember I only learned about basketball maybe like 7 years ago. Is I would always see you hitting the ball away when people would shoot after the timeout has been called. And I was always like, oh, do they get the point? And people would be like, nah, KG just does that. I was like, why is he doing that? Everyone's like, I don't know. But now we know. It's because you were trying to mess with people who were trying to get their rhythm going.
It's a combination of things, Trevor. Like, confidence and on this level, when you play with guys in the league, only thing they need to see is the ball go through a couple times or even
Right.
one time. Reggie Miller, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, guys who LeBron, guys who can actually beat you by just a blink of an eye, have that switch. And I used to be mindful of that switch. And when guys would try to, be shooting, will have themselves in bad shooting nights, I would just part of it's being a hole too, kind of, poking the bear a little bit. But a lot of it was just to throw off rhythm and to really make someone really like, you know what, stop doing that. And that's, the more I can mess with you and the more I saw it affecting you, the more I would probably do it. But yeah, it was effective.
Yeah, man, you might call yourself a bit of an a-hole at times, but man, there are parts of this book that show us how complicated and dynamic you are as a person. I really appreciated how you talked about struggling with attention deficit disorder, how you struggled, living with dyslexia and learning how to learn without that or with that impediment in your life. It seems like something a lot of people wouldn't share, especially self-doubt. When people think of Kevin Garnett, we don't necessarily ever think of self-doubt being in a sentence with your name. Why do you think it was so important for you to share that with people and say, hey, these are the things that KG has struggled with off the court?
Trevor, I wanted to give people confidence. I wanted to be able to say it's okay to have ailments. We're all a human. Everyone's not perfect. We all have flaws. Growing up, I didn't necessarily know what was going on. I didn't know why, things appeared the way they were and why I was processing the way I was. So in this whole book, I wanted to be able to have the readers be able to grab some solution from what I was from some of the things I was talking about. That doubt you speak on it's the same doubt that drives you. It's the same
Hmm.
doubt that pushes you every day.
Right.
And the message in that and having these ADDs or these deficits is to continue to push through. I never let any of this hold me back. I figured it out. It was an odd way of figuring some of this stuff out, but it worked at the end of the day. And the message here is to continue to push through no matter whatever it is. It is a solution to everything. And I really like to believe that. So I want to share that with everybody to show the human side of me too. People see me
Right, right, right.
in this great athlete and you running and jumping and all this, and they don't really understand that, it's a whole bunch of other things that go into the makeup of a person. So I want to show more human side of it.
Yeah, man, the book takes us into all the things that go into the makeup of this human in particular. One of the scariest stories to read in the book, because it just shows how much a person's life could change in an instant, is when you talk about being in high school and getting into a fight, defending your friend who was getting beaten up by these white kids. The next thing you know, you are being put up for lynching charges, which is a capital offense where you were in South Carolina. I mean, this is a scary world for you to be in when you think to yourself, that one thing could have changed your life and there might be no Kevin Garnett in the Hall of Fame right now.
Facts. And this where the saying bad association sports useful habits come into play. And I was a young kid at the time, and I'm a very loyal person. People know me for that. And you get yourself in situations, and you don't really think when you're young. You're just more of a
Right.
react. You know, and going through that situation, it taught me to actually think before actually responding or actually reacting to things. I was very fortunate to be able to go through that process and come out of it and find a rainbow at the end, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I took a negative, I took myself, and I was completely invested in whatever the consequences was. And I went through that process and I came out on top. And I like to think that it made me a better person. I like to think that it made me shrink my so-called circle of friends too. It made me rethink a lot of things that were going on in my life as a young individual. And I can honestly say there was a pivotal point in my life to where a lot of things changed for me, along with my attitude and how
Yeah,
I
man.
saw things.
I feel you there. I mean, I could relate to it. There were parts of the book where I read when I went, man, just one mistake as a kid can change your life depending on how you get punished for that mistake. So many people don't get punished, and the people who do, it's like, that was it. That was the mistake that changed your life forever. And I don't want to spoil parts of the book, so I want people to read it and just really appreciate that story. You do an amazing job in everything that you do. You crushed it in the NBA. You crushed it in the film that you were in, and I'll tell you now, you've crushed it with your memoir. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for being different. Thank you for being Kevin Garnett, and thank you for joining me on the show.
Trevor, I appreciate you, man. You're the dopest, man. Keep doing your thing too, man. I'm a huge fan, and I look for you in the future.
Much appreciated, my dude.